we talked about 4 priorities in the last playthrough, and I definitely think you should check that out if you want a really in-depth look at my particular view on early game strategy. And I'll go over them just really, really briefly this time. The 4 priorities are fundamental worker technology, defense, strategic resource, and research. And just kind of generally, fundamental worker techs just mean things that allow you to improve the tiles around your capital. Defense is something like archers. You can even use a great wall, axeman count, just things that you can prevent yourself from being overrun by barbarians. Third priority is strategic resource, and that's something like horses or copper or iron. I think those allow you to have a lot of flexibility in war for the early to mid game, so you want to make sure that you have at least one of them. And the last priority is research, and that's basically writing. And you could perhaps think about priesthood for the oracle, pottery for cottages. So definitely check out the previous playthrough if you're interested in a total breakdown of that. I'm just going to go ahead and dive into the fundamental worker techs, which will for us be agriculture and animal husbandry. And then once those pop out, we'll revisit how our priorities are running in the early game, and we'll talk about where we're going to go from there. So just I want to reiterate, that framework is a framework. So, and yikes, new tech, masonry. You always love getting a tech from a hut. So really great masonry. I'm not sure we'll be able to use it, but I love getting techs from huts. So awesome. So again, that priority system is not something that is hard and fast, and it needs to be tailored to every start, to every leader, and to every strategy. But it's something just more to fall back on. If you're a little bit confused, you're not sure how exactly you want to structure your playthrough, you can fall back on that 4 priority system to give yourself a good idea of what to do. So again, we're going to meet all the civs pretty soon here because we're on a Pangea map, and I'm going to wait to talk about them until we've met them all and we can have a clear idea of what our diplomatic strategy is going to be. And again, just real quick about exploration. Again, we're using a warrior to explore, and in the last game we had some problems with revealing tiles. And we're at the point where we had to decide how quickly to push out a settler. And since we really just didn't know a whole lot about our terrain, we ended up being forced to adopt a kind of narrow strategy of just pushing out our settler as soon as possible. And again, you want to avoid that kind of thing, so try to prioritize exploration if you're using a warrior to explore. So far, we've gotten all new leaders, so that's good, and we do have a resource that we can improve with that masonry. And it looks like it's actually a pretty solid city location. We could pick up the cow here. We'll claim the incense. We'll get a floodplains tile, and it'll be grassland near the river. Some grassland near the river, so that'll be pretty nice. That could be a good city location for sure. Looks like the worker is in. We're going to go ahead and start some irrigation. We're going to have a couple of dead turns for the worker. Actually, no, we won't. We'll be able to mine. I'll go ahead and mine. We'll push our. By the time animal husbandry comes in, the worker will still be working on a mine. But I'm okay with that because I'm okay with pushing back animal husbandry a couple turns just to make sure that worker is being productive. So we got a big swath of desert to the west, and it's important to realize you can think of desert actually kind of like a diplomatic tool. It's really going to prevent a lot of civs from wanting to settle here, so you can think of it kind of as a cushion, and it's going to prevent other civs from being so close to you that they want to declare war. So I can think about that sort of like sort of as a cushion, and it might bias me to explore to the east and kind of expand to the east. So I'm actually going to take this guy and head him back east instead of continuing to explore to the west, because I might have some cushion here, so I might not need to expand that direction. Looks like the corn is online. I'd be interested to see what you guys think about just camping out the worker on the cattle and having him ready to do the pasture as soon as possible. I'm going to go ahead and let the mine finish, I think, because we're going to be working growth tiles. Well, it's a tough call, actually. I'd be interested to hear what you guys think about that. I'm going to go ahead and let the mine finish, and then I'll go do the animal husbandry, or the pasture on the cattle. And yikes! We've got some horses in the big fat cross, so been getting really fortunate, I think, with strategic resources. So that's really good for us, and it'll allow us to kind of go straight into writing through pottery, actually. And Mansa Musa is a guy who likes early pottery. So I'm not really too interested in getting bronze working too soon. We don't really need it because we don't have a lot of forests. It's definitely something we'll probably think about right after writing, because in general bronze working is important to have. But we got the horses, and that kind of takes care of our strategic resource and our defense, because we have the wheel for chariots and to hook up the horses. And we're just going to go pottery writing now. I'm trying to get some research done. So, wow, really great, and so far a really great start for us. We've been catching some good breaks, and looks like we have much better terrain, so I'm pretty pleased so far with this start. Once this warrior gets out, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about what we want to do for settling, building settlers and things like that. I'm going to go ahead and select the settler now. That means the overflow is going to go into this, I believe. I'm actually not sure about that, but so we might be losing something here if we don't end up building the settler, is the point I'm trying to make. But I think it's fine, whatever. And I really think that we'll probably want to settle pretty soon. But we'll talk about potential city sites when we come back, and we'll talk about how our research priorities are going, and we'll talk about what our strategy will be for the next couple of turns. So this is Tanoy Sunha. You're watching a Civ 4 playthrough. Thanks for tuning in, and I will be back in just a bit.